Hello, everyone. Welcome to another discussion here. And today we're going to be talking about the Xbox One. I am joined today by Iron Fury
Yep.
and Mike Jr. the second.
What's going on?
And wow, what did we just watch?
I didn't watch it at all. I was playing Wolfenstein.
I wish
that
I was playing Wolfenstein. That was horrid.
it,
I mean, judging from what you guys were telling me as it was going on, it didn't sound very good.
It wasn't.
okay.
Well,
Let's recap. All right, I'm gonna do the most basic recap ever. Okay, we're starting off with your Xbox can watch The Price is Right. Um,
yes.
I could watch The Price is Right on television,
there's gonna be a Halo TV series by Steven Spielberg.
which could have potential, but is not something I'm honestly all that excited for.
Forza 5, which was leaked last week, was officially revealed. Remedy,
If
the
you're into
the
if
makers
you're
of
into racing games, that's cool, I guess.
Remedy's making a new game called Quantum Break, which kind of looks like they stole the tear effect from Bioshock Infinite. Like, not exactly stole, but it
Looks like it.
looks like it. And then we
There's an
had
EA Microsoft partnership.
which everyone cares about. They have a specific partnership with the actual NFL,
Oh,
Okay.
and
well, not just the
finally,
NFL, EA Sports too. Like at the very beginning, they said there's a new
yeah,
partnership between EA and Microsoft. So, which is absolutely hilarious considering what's been going on with EA.
and then Call of Duty.
Yeah, they ended it with Call of Duty. That was not a good idea. So there were barely any games. Um, they didn't really show much about anything. All they really showed was the entertainment aspect of the console. Or it's called the Xbox One too, which is a horrible name.
I know. Well, we've come up with a few names for it ourselves.
Yes.
The
The
Dude
Um,
Bro
maker, Matt,
Box.
the
the
dude
Dude
bro
Bro
box.
box, the Xbox minus 359.
Yes. It is, well, one, maybe they're just trying to make a joke, so every time you say, well, the Xbox One is like, they said the Xbox One when it didn't do that well.
Yeah.
And the one thing the Call of Duty guys were stressing was about how good the dogs looked. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, when your biggest selling point is that, oh, you can now have a dog. Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
There's so
and
many games out there with dogs as is that you can have as partners like Fallout and stuff. Why is it that big of a deal in this game?
and you can swim. I was able to swim since Super Mario Brothers 1. Actually, since long before that. I think there was like some Atari games where you could swim underwater.
Yeah, so it's definitely
So
not.
swimming is not that big a deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the conference at first is basically one, they didn't show enough games and they were just showing off the entertainment aspect of the console,
Which
which
we should have
is
been prepared for because it started off with them saying it was the all-in-one system. But I didn't think that's all they were going to focus on.
Well, the
yeah.
name, if their gimmick is that it's going to be an all-in-one system, then the name at least makes sense. The Xbox One, all-in-one.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get the name now. Yeah,
That makes sense, but it's
It's still a
still.
stupid choice. Like, overall, their choice for this console is just poor. And the controller is basically the same.
I didn't
it's
see the.
weird
It
because it
looks
looks like the top part is like they added something extra to the top
Yeah,
part
but
that's
it
not
almost looks
necessary.
more bulky than the 360 one did, and I
Yeah,
think
I
the
thought it looked
360
like the
controller is
original, the
ridiculous.
very first.
Yeah, and I've
Hmm.
I
always
didn't.
hated Xbox controllers. They're so ridiculously large.
I didn't see the Xbox controller yet, but I did see the system itself, and we basically have a black box with a slit.
It's it looks like a
Should have the
PlayStation.
controller theory on Skype.
Okay.
It
So
honestly
that's
it reminds me of like a PlayStation. It's like they took a cable box and a PlayStation 3 and just put an
yeah, it
Xbox
looks like
logo
the
on it.
disc in the logo were swapped. It's too bulky, and the weird thing is that look, it looks like they have giant holes on the top for a fan, which is good for airing out the console. But how big those holes are and how big the fan is, I mean, at least the Wii U has it on the very side of the top.
Oh god, that
It's
It
controller
has
looks
like half of the top.
horrendous.
Yeah, the controller looks horrible. By gamers for gamers, they said, and the gamers said, "Fucking hey, what were we smoking?"
I mean, I'm not trying to bash Microsoft. I mean, I've never owned a Microsoft console. My friends do. I've played on them, and honestly, I don't see why exactly the Xbox is so great. I mean, they rip you off at every chance they get. You have to pay for
I,
online. That's not
I,
changing. Now you're gonna have to pay to play used games. What's
yeah.
GameStop gonna think about that? If that's true, what's GameStop gonna think about that? That's gonna. They already said when the whole rumors about the PS4 were going around that if it restricts used games, then they're not going to sell the console. They outright said if it restricts used games in any way, we are not selling the console.
Well, from
Which is
look of it, they're going to be doing it such as you, like I said, you have to register it, meaning that after you buy the used game at GameStop, you have to go home and basically pay probably like $20, maybe even
Hey,
more.
it's not
Again,
gonna be cheap. It's Microsoft. It's not gonna be cheap.
no, it isn't. So it's not gonna. This isn't gonna be a cheap console at all. Right away, it looks like it has better specs than the PlayStation 4, which seems good, but the operating system and what they're trying to allow you to do, like
It's
you're
gonna
supposed to
eat
have the
up all that
snapshots.
RAM. It's gonna eat up
Well,
all that RAM.
yeah, a lot of the stuff they have to let you do, they're gonna have to restrict some of that RAM just for that. So I bet the games aren't even gonna be able to use or that all that 8 GB of RAM.
Oh yeah, and first of all, Windows 8. I can't. I like Windows 7, but I cannot stand the design of Windows 8. It's ugly and it just looks hideous, and that's what they have slapped on to the new Xbox, which doesn't really surprise anybody because they're putting it on everything. But that doesn't mean that it looks any less shitty.
well, not only that, but it is Microsoft. It's their own system, so
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
like it doesn't look like it fits well on a game console.
well, yeah,
And
that's true.
Internet Explorer.
I will say one thing: the actual the actual operating system on like the PS3 and stuff like that is it's not exactly the most complex thing in the world, but it works for what it is. It feels like a gaming console and not a computer. But
Very
yet at the
simple.
same time, you can still do everything that you need to do at a relatively convenient pace.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't, the fact that they really stressed TV shows. Like from the
Hmm.
get-go, they said, "Guess what? You can tell your Xbox when you want to watch The Price is Right, or wait, you can tell your Xbox, hey, I want to watch porn on HBO." Like, whoa.
It
They
was funny
actually said
because for
that.
like 15, no,
Uh,
but for like 15, 20 minutes, they were going on about the whole look at how, I mean, it was fast, but how it switched from watching a movie to a video game and stuff.
It's so
But why
fast.
why is that big of a deal though? I mean, wow, I'm gonna want to switch from movie to something else.
but
How
what
many times do you want to do it that fast?
but what kills me about that is the idea. What are they having their own cable service, or is it going to interact with your already cable service?
See, that's what the Wii U does is that it actually interacts with whatever service you have currently.
But
I
that's
don't I don't believe
still
it's all of them, but it's some
but
of them.
but that's still stupid because you're playing it on a television.
Yeah,
If you
just
want to watch
watch.
TV, turn the fucking system off.
I think the funny thing is that if Microsoft dropped the gaming aspect, this console, this not really console, but this kind of DVR type of thing would actually be somewhat of an interesting ideal. But
I,
because the fact that it's supposed to be based around games, it's going to raise the price greatly and it just makes it annoying.
I suppose it could be if you're the kind of family that doesn't have a computer.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a computer, this would be an awesome thing.
Yeah.
But if you have a computer and you have a television, you don't need something in addition to that that does all those things in one.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
Most
I see
people,
what they're doing with it, but don't. The fact that they've been stressing this as an Xbox. When you think Xbox, do you think TV? No, you
No.
think video games.
I mean, don't get me wrong. From a business standpoint, it it makes sense.
Because they're trying to appeal to a wide audience.
It
Let
makes from a market standpoint, it makes a ton of sense because they're trying to appeal to not only the gamers but to people who could use this for other things. Like during the, I know you mentioned this during the presentation. They were talking about how NFL coaches could use the system to
To
perform better.
cheat, it's to cheat, dude. There's no way they can do that and not cheat. It
Yeah,
shows you
Yeah.
stats of all the other players.
yeah. But
Yeah.
you get what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it makes sense that you're trying to appeal to as many people as you possibly can.
Then it's gonna make me
but
hard for me to consider this a
who's
game
gonna pay
console.
that much? Like that's what I'm saying. That if it wasn't a console, it'd be a good ideal because it being a gaming console, it's driving up the price with the specs. You
I know
know,
that, but
this
I'm
thing's gonna
saying
cost around 500, $600 more than likely.
I know that,
And
but I'm saying even if it weren't a video game console, even if it were
oh,
just
okay,
that, it
yeah,
would be so pointless to even buy that unless you didn't have a computer.
And
mm-hmm,
I'm not saying that I know that there's plenty of families who don't, but the ratio of families that do have computers and don't have computers is
Is
quite different.
ginormous.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a giant. Most people, even even the poorest families, still are able to get at least some kind of computer.
mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is great. If you, it's a good list. If you don't have a computer, it sounds like it would be a good substitute for a computer.
Yeah. But
But as a gaming console, not so much.
I mean, we still have E3 to go. I will stress that we still have E3 to go.
Yeah, but when your idea is that this is a gaming console and the only games you actually show are like 3 or 4 of them.
None of which anyone wants. Literally, I think every game is just the same thing over again. The EA games, which by the way, apparently EA and Microsoft are having a partnership. EA, those sports games are always the same, no matter what they say. It's different. Call of Duty and what's the racing game? Turismo
Forza.
or something?
Forza.
Forza, yeah.
Forza.
Those are always the same thing over and over again, and you're showing that as your main kind of thing for a gaming conference. I mean, Sony had a lot of different stuff for their conference. They had a really good idea for a new IP. Um, Infamous, stuff like that. It was very stretched out, different stuff. The only thing different was that what was that quantum breaking thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quantum Break.
That was that was the only different thing out of the whole thing, and they didn't show much of it, and some of it was even live footage.
If we got I think we saw a ship crash into a bridge.
And
I,
then
I
like a
will
bunch of
say,
people getting shot.
as far
Yeah.
as games, it makes sense for them to show off Halo because that's an
And they
Xbox
didn't.
IP.
They gave us a TV show.
Oh, all they talked about was the TV. I thought they didn't reveal a new game.
Nope, just
No, they
TV
didn't.
show.
We
Oh,
were
okay.
thinking they were gonna, but they haven't revealed a new game at all, which is funny because
Okay,
everyone's.
so scratch that. Any point I would have made here is now completely moot. I was gonna say it would have made sense for them to show like stuff that involves the Microsoft IP, like Halo or whatever, and this new game that is gonna be a Microsoft IP, and maybe, actually, I think Forza is a Microsoft IP.
Yes, it is
Yeah, it
because
So,
Gran
is.
was the
so
racing.
okay, that makes sense. It is an IP.
But the
Even if
Ghost
it's
isn't an IP. There's no way EA Sports is going to do an IP with their sports games, no matter
no,
what.
there's no way they would be stupid.
So
They'd
basically,
be
they've only shown two IPs this whole thing.
they might have said they're not going to do anything for the Wii U, but they'd be fucking fools if they were to ignore the PS4.
Yeah, basically.
They would
So
be fools because you're eliminating 2/3 of your market just to focus on the Xbox crowd. Really?
yeah, when it'd be easier just to port more games over at the very least.
I know.
I mean, I know we're gonna get Assassin's Creed 4 on the Xbox. We're gonna get Watch Dogs on Xbox One.
We're
But
definitely going to get them ported, but
yeah,
to each other. But really, in terms of exclusives, currently, the
they did
PlayStation Store
promise
is
us
looking far off.
15. They said by the end of the year they will have 15 exclusives. 8 of them are new IPs. But yet they
At the
couldn't
end of
show
this
us
year,
any.
and they're probably going to be releasing it around
The
Christmas.
thing about consoles these days, to kind of go into like a, you know, be the old man here to talk about what it was like back in the day. But the thing about consoles now is it's a lot easier to port games to all the consoles and have them play pretty much identically. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that's why you're going to see a lot. That's why you're going to see a lot of games that are like, oh, it's on both the PS4 and the Xbox One and all that shit.
Yeah.
20 years ago, it wasn't exactly like that. There might be some games that were on both the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, but they were vastly different because
They
the
re
hardware was completely different, the sound chips were completely different, the controller types were completely different.
Don't
So
forget blast processing.
they had to compensate for that. It's not quite so much anymore because of the technology. So of course you're going to see a lot of games that are going to be on both the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, definitely. So it's not going to be that big of a deal because they will be porting them over. So having them, so this, I'm guessing the EA partnership with Microsoft is probably going to bring in those exclusives.
Yeah, what Xbox needs to focus on for the next couple of months. I mean,
Is their games.
mention the games that are going to be coming over, but the focus should be primarily on their own IPs.
And I think that's what they're gonna do for E3. I'll say right now, E3 is gonna be, that own where gamers decide what side they're taking for, what's their first console that they're getting for this gen between PS4 and
Oh,
Xbox One.
I think that that would be the smartest decision that they could make would be to focus on their own IPs, or at least have that be the primary focus.
But sadly, we know what to expect from a Microsoft E3 conference. We're gonna get Halo, more Call of Duty footage, Just Dance, a random
Yeah.
performance by some rapper, new fitness game, racing.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the IP games are probably going to be about the Connect 2 as well.
What's funny
So,
is we kind of mentioned this in the discussion we had about Nintendo, but Nintendo kind of has it right. They sometimes mention third party games, but they always put a lot of their focus on their own first party IPs, and they make a ton of money because of it.
yes.
They
I mean,
do.
many people are buying the Wii just for Skyward Sword, for Mario Galaxy, for those games, just because Nintendo makes such good games. Microsoft, while they might make Halo, doesn't really interest people into a lot of the, Xbox
And they
games.
don't promote anything but Halo. When they do have other IPs, they do
Yeah,
have
Mhm.
them. They just
don't they
don't
have Gears
promote
of
them.
War?
They have Gears
Yeah.
of War. That'll get like a commercial spot late at night.
Mhm.
And
They
they used to have Mass Effect, but they lost that. They used to have Assassin's Creed. They lost that.
had Saints Row 1, they lost that with Saints Row 2 and 3.
Yeah, so they need to start
They lost
focusing on.
Fable too. Fable 2 was started to become exclusive, but then Fable 3 became PC again.
Yeah.
Uh,
And IGN's down right now. Well, it's kind of going on and off a lot. There's so
the
much traffic. I'm trying
but
to keep up with all the. Right now, basically, we're at that point where just like when the PS4 was revealed after that thing, like a whole bunch of interviews were made, and we got a little bit more information. Like right now, we can confirm the Xbox One doesn't require to be always connected to the internet, which
but
would
it's
have been a
amazing.
breaking point.
It's amazing how much the game has changed though, because I mean, other than Nintendo, even Sony's kind of guilty of this. They don't really give a lot of focus to their own IPs.
No, they don't.
They don't, and that's not how it used to be. It used to be, you know,
It came with the console. You
we
know,
made
Sega Genesis, you got Sonic with it.
we
Mario,
made
you
these
got
games. We made these games. We made this console. We want you to enjoy us.
yeah.
Fuck that other guy. But
Oh
now,
God. Oh no.
what?
What?
Okay, so they were asked about the actual online only thing. And what they say is basically says are developers forced to create games that have these online features and are thus not playable offline? They are not, Xbox exec Witten said to Wired, but quote, I hope they do, unquote. So the always online feature may come in incremental steps. So it's gonna happen eventually. That's stupid.
Well,
So they are doing always online, or is
They
it
said
just for
it's
specific
up to the
companies that want the
developer.
games?
they
It's
said
So
up to the developer.
I believe the PlayStation 4 is doing that too, however. So from what I
well,
hear, the developers can do it too.
That's not what I
yeah.
heard about the PS4.
That's what I heard. Either way, no matter if we're positive with the Xbox One now, but if even for the PlayStation 4, that's bullshit.
I
Well,
know
no
they said
matter
for the
who does it.
PS4, if you to stream the old console games, you need to be connected to the cloud. But for
Yeah, no.
the actual PS4 games, you don't have to be.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Whoever does do it, I guess they don't like money.
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't.
that's gonna be
I'll tell you what. If both consoles do that, then guess what? The Wii U doesn't have to try to be the best console of that generation.
It doesn't.
It won't have to try. It'll win.
It, I mean,
as I said.
currently they don't block
Sony said,
games along with PS4, which has been
Because
confirmed, by the way.
I
what'd you say?
mean,
I didn't catch it.
I said, who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said the PS4 has been confirmed not to block used games,
Oh,
so
yep. In
they're
any
already
shape or
better than
form.
yeah.
that's already better than what Microsoft seems to be up to.
Yeah, so money-wise, PlayStation 4 is better. Not only that, but because the specs seem to look better for the Xbox, and especially, I believe it comes with the Kinect 2, I believe. I could be wrong. But if it does, the Xbox price is going to be very high compared to the PlayStation 4.
And
And
Sony's
not only that,
already
with
said
used
that
games,
their goal is to make the PS4 affordable. Like
What
they
kills
outright
me,
said we're gonna make, and the rumored prices are like, what, I think 350 for a base, and then like 450
really,
for the cheap one.
350?
you know
Yeah.
what
God.
kills me though is specs don't really mean a goddamn thing, and history has
Well, they
shown that time and time again.
early on they kind of do though. Like you want to know what you're getting into.
Hmm.
Except that they don't, because history, like I said, history is on the side of, you know, the most powerful machine doesn't automatically sell well. Even
Yeah.
going as far back as the fucking NES days. Or
Mhm.
actually, no, even better, going as far back as the Atari days.
Yeah.
Okay?
No.
Atari 2600s sold more than ColecoVisions and Intellivisions. Okay?
Hmm.
And they were the weakest of the three.
PlayStation 3 this gen, while a good console, and you can debate which one's better, did sell less than both the Wii and the Xbox, and it was the best of in terms of specs. No
Yes.
question.
And the Wii outsold both the Xbox and the PlayStation 3 combined.
Not
I guess
currently,
specs
but
are
for
just
its time it
important to
was.
me
Yes.
because like I want to, going into wanting to go into game development, like it's power. Like how much can you really push the console to do?
But but
Which
I
you
could
won't
I could
get that till the end of the generation
I
anyway.
could I could go into the history right now. Not only did the Atari 2600 outsell its competitors, but the NES was less powerful than the Sega Master System, and other than Europe, the NES outsold that thing by a landslide. Going into the
Yes.
16-bit era, the Neo Geo was easily the most powerful console that they had at the time. It was the first 32-bit console for the home, and compared that to the 16-bit consoles, it did piss poor. That's probably because of the expense, but it still proves that power doesn't automatically generate money. And then, of
Yeah.
course, we go into you know, the next generation. The Nintendo 64 was technically a more powerful system than the PlayStation 1, and the PlayStation 1 beat it.
Was it? The 64 was better?
The 64 was considered the more powerful system.
Oh, I'm guessing it didn't do better because they used cartridges instead of discs. Okay. All right. Now I understand
But I'm
now. Makes
saying
sense. Okay.
power doesn't
Doesn't
always
mean
doesn't
money.
mean it's doesn't always mean money,
Yeah.
Well, no one
you
said it
know.
meant money.
But
You
I'm
know.
saying it doesn't always mean it's a better system, or it doesn't always mean that it's going to do better.
Well, see, people say that though, as they say, well, it has better specs, therefore it's going to do better. But no matter what, the games are going to be ported at least between the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox. So really, while the graphics might look slightly different, you're not going to notice it. The only difference between this gen and last gen, you're going to see a few little more touches on the graphics, and basically the only thing different is going to be the 60 FPS with all three consoles.
Yeah, and it's funny. I can even going for, and it's funny. Every generation has had this. It's not just unique to a few generations.
No.
Even the Dreamcast, which was the most powerful system at the time, didn't sell anywhere near as well, and put Sega out of business. Well, out of business in the console market.
Well, the Dreamcast was very less powerful than the PlayStation 2.
No, it was powerful than the PlayStation 2, but it was in the same generation as the PS1 and N64.
Was it? No, I
Well,
thought
then if
that
you
Yeah.
was the
say
Sega
that,
Saturn.
then couldn't the Wii U be considered this gen then?
Well,
The
no,
Wii
because
U is yeah,
The Wii U is considered the first system of the new generation.
yes,
It's considered the first of the new generation.
yeah.
But the Dreamcast was considered the very end of the N64, PS1, Sega Saturn generation.
See, I thought the Sega Saturn was a part of the
Yeah,
64.
the Sega Saturns put in the 64
It
PS2 stuff, really.
Yeah. Well, the Dreamcast. Well, see, a lot of people. It's kind of like a weird thing
Yeah,
because
the
it's
Sega
weird
was
like
weird.
that.
Yeah,
Sega Saturn is kind of the timing it came out was before the PS2, and they still ported a lot of PS1 games to the Dreamcast, which is why it's kind of given the same generation.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's like a transition period.
Yeah,
But even going into the PS2 generation, the PS2 was weaker than the Xbox,
and it was probably one of
and
the it's the most selling console ever.
it dominated that generation.
The most selling console, I still believe so. I don't even think the Wii's beat it yet.
Yeah, and of course, in the most recent generation, the Wii outsold the Xbox and the PS3
And it was highly inferior to both of
by
them.
leaps. Exactly, exactly.
But the thing is about the Wii U too is that the difference between the Wii and the Xbox and PlayStation 3 was that there was a big difference. That's because Nintendo was trying to keep it very cheap at the time. Now Nintendo's using parts from 2010. There's no way the Wii U is gonna the Xbox and the 60 not the 64 but the PlayStation 4 is going to be leaps and bounds better like it was the Wii U. There it is going to be closer than last gen. That's something some
Maybe
people aren't
maybe
forgetting.
so. It might be closer, but like I said, you never the specs doesn't automatically mean it's going to do better. And that's
Yeah.
what a lot of people have this idea that just because a game has or just because a system has higher specs automatically means that either A, it is better or that it's
Yeah.
going to sell better. When the truth is that's just not true. History
Hmm.
has shown that time and time again.
Yes. So do you think we covered most of what we wanted to get out of the way?
I think so. I mean, there's not much else to really say here except for the fact that that was one of the most lackluster
Horrible
and
reveals ever.
horrible reveals I've seen.
It sounds like I was better off playing Wolfenstein.
You were
Yeah,
much
you were.
better. I mean, I wish I should have started playing, more Sleeping Dogs or something. That was a
Who's
waste of my.
cats?
And it was short too. Like, the PS4 reveal was 2 hours long. This one was like
Mhm.
50 minutes.
What was it? 4 games. None of them are really that new besides Quantum Breaking.
Yeah. Wait,
So
no,
yeah.
3 games.
No, there was four because remember, Frizz the racing game, the all four of the EA Sports games,
Oh, I guess
um,
if you
Call of
count the
Duty.
sports games, then yeah.
Yeah, all of the. So basically, those were the only. I mean, counting them separate or as the same thing. Basically, there was only four different kinds of games shown, and none of them were anything different besides Quantum Breaking, which they barely showed anything of at all.
All I can say is E3 definitely a decision making time for gamers. Because
Hmm.
I hate to say this, but we all know what's coming. The console wars are gonna get reignited,
Yep.
and
Probably Super Smash for Mar or for the Wii U, Halo for Xbox more than likely, and not exactly sure for Sony. Probably their new weird IP that
so
they came out with.
I don't know what Sony's going with. I mean, there's only one way to find out, and that'll be
E3.
E3. So I guess that's it, and we'll
Yep.
see you guys later for another discussion.
Yeah.